Housekeeping. I'll briefly introduce the great Lenny Schloss right next to us, CEO, creator, founder of the Billie Jean King Eye Coach. It's something I've personally used to get better at tennis in my middle age and older age, and my own son used it too. And ladies and gentlemen, next to me, Craig Bell.
All right, we're going to get this thing started. We ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. James Scott Campbell.
Friends, to another episode of the At the Net podcast, powered by Tex-Mex Productions. Working the soundboards in the back of the house are our producers, D-Mac and Dave the Brain. Time to say hello to your hosts, Craig Bell and AJ Shabria, as they're about to take us through 3 sets of tennis, talking life and all the news as it seems to them. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Bell.
All right, thanks to our At the Net podcast girl, that would be Margot Carter, for that righteous introduction, and welcome fans of the great game. That's a good word of the night, isn't it?
Righteous. He's a righteous dude. He's right next to me.
You're listening to Season 1, Episode 109 of At the Net Podcast with AJ Chabria. That's you, isn't it?
That's right.
Are you
Craig
AJC?
Bell? Yes, sir.
Are you AJC or AJ Chabria?
Either way.
Either way?
Yeah,
okay.
And next to me, CB1 is what we call him, Craig Bell the first.
And we are talking the great game of tennis as it seems to us. Thanks also go out to our good amigos at Tex-Mex Production. We did have a brain sighting tonight, didn't we?
We did. He helped us produce, helped you get it all rolling.
That would be Dave the Brain from back of the house, and Darian D. Mac McBrayer, who, well, they're supposed to be on the soundboard, but they're really not. I'm soundboard guy tonight. I'm moving the dials and buttons to make us look real, right? Not Memorex.
Look, sound real,
yeah,
good.
Not a hologram either.
Mm.
Yeah. We're going to try to do that maybe. Might be in the metaverse one day. I think we could do that. So, also be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Plus, check out our good work on. Okay, here we go. Heavy
Deep breath.
Fireside, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Breaker, CastBox. I had to take a breath. Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. Whew. I had to take a breath that time. I missed. Basically, all the important communication sites the kids find popular today, right?
Right on.
We're on there, right? And if you're a female, sorry guys, if you'd like to be like Margot Carter and read the opening intro, let us know, because we're always looking for some female talent. But she's going to be tough to beat. She's going to be tough to knock off the podium right there.
Yeah, DM us, maybe email us a demo, and we'll figure it out, and we'll probably get you on.
And speaking of righteous, this guest this evening, he is what you said, one
righteous dude.
And that would be the great Lenny Schloss.
What's up, Lenny?
Charlton, South Carolina.
Charleston.
How you doing, Lenny?
Hey, guys.
Welcome.
I got to stop laughing, just start talking. So just don't talk for a minute, and I'll be able to communicate.
Well, we're glad to have you on tonight. It's a real honor, real privilege. We talked to Lenny, what was it, about 2 months ago that we saw Lenny here in Dallas?
This wonderful wedding in November right here in Dallas, yeah.
Yes.
And we talked to Lenny, and he doesn't know what he's getting into, but we're glad that he made it. And to be able to talk with us, and tonight, Sunday, February the 20th. Hard to believe, isn't it?
That's right.
It's 2022. Boy, howdy. It's hard to believe. Yeah. And this is episode 109, so we're glad to have, like I said, Lenny around, because he's got a really interesting story, and we're going to find out a little bit more about the story in the first 2 sets, and then we're going to really dive deep into Lenny's brain in segment 3, right? Set 3. So we're going to go 3 sets tonight, Lenny. You got to go 3 sets with us, so not 3 out of 5.
And it's not the 10-point breaker for the 3rd set.
Yeah.
Craig's got 3 segments to the 3rd set. So be ready, folks at home.
That's right.
I know Lenny's definitely ready.
Yep.
He was about to sing tonight, and now instead of singing, it was karaoke night at a cool dive near his house. But he cut that short to join us, and we couldn't be more proud.
Well, yeah, like I said, we're glad to have Lenny on board with us tonight, because he's got a really interesting, I guess, what would you call this? Apparatus? The eye coach has been around for about 10 years now, isn't it? It's about 10 years, Lenny, that you have
more than that, but officially launched 10 years ago with the idea that a ball and a stick might be able to help some people. So about 10 years ago, it was actually, we'll get to that story, but it actually was 25 years ago.
Really?
And I went to Arthur Ashe, but we didn't have the ball and the stick, but the studies that I had found about humans' athletic potential. For example, we all have about 130 mile an hour serve inside us, but we tend to block it up with some of our ways of approaching the brain. So when I got with Arthur, he said, "I'll give you an hour," and I'd played him before, so we knew each other pretty well. And after the hour, he said, "Okay." And I said, "Darn, I thought we had, I thought he really got it." And he said, "I just got to make a phone call."
Yeah.
And he came back 5 minutes later. He says, "Okay, we got the rest of the day."
Really?
And so it really began in 1990 with this study of humans' athletic survival instincts. And that 1,000 years ago, we were quite the ball strikers. We had to strike things to eat and live. And we didn't have any coaches. And but we could hit the sweet spot and do quite well without any of that, and had a lot to do with the science of our body and our hand structure and how that separated us from other creatures. And Arthur was just fascinated with the concept of human survival instincts and how we could tap into those in the future in sport. So he gave me his personal phone number, and we began the journey about 3 or 4 years before he got pretty sick. But he gave me the pathway, and this is what you have to do. You got to open a facility. You got to start proving it. You got to do these things, and I'll be with you all the way, which he was until he passed away. And so we got through the final phases. And then 10 years ago, the only other person I could think of was Billie Jean King. That could be bigger than the sport. And here we are. I'll tell you all more about it later, but that's kind of the journey.
We would love that, Lenny. Our second set will be filled with your current projects and your future projects, including liaisons with the great Arthur Ashe and the wonderful Billie Jean King. In the first set, however, we want to talk about you a little bit because, when Arthur was at UCLA briefly before he turned pro, was that about when you were at University of Tennessee playing the top level of college ball?
Yeah. Yeah.
Similar. Yeah, that was you. That was the same Lenny Schloss. Awesome. Yeah. How did you, let's go back. I know we just said 60s, but let's go back to the early 60s or late 50s. How did you get started in the great game of tennis?
I wanted some more attention from my parents. And that was a pretty good way to do it. You got to watch me. And so they were great people, but just, they weren't they weren't parenting types. But that was the truth. I found, look at this, look at me. I was a baseball player. So at 15, they pretty much said, you got to have to figure a way to college because we're not going to be able to handle it. And so I said, well, okay. And so my career started at 15. And by the time I was 21, I was first team All-American at the University of Tennessee, their first one ever. And then by the time I was 23, so it's a 8-year career, I was one of the top 10 Americans on the tour. Then I got injured. And the short story about me, I think, is more relevant to not about me, because that's kind of like the most I really care to talk about myself for this reason. I pretty much went on a journey because when I got injured and couldn't play anymore, my self-esteem was in the back seat of a car. It was terrible. I felt like a loser. I felt like I choked. I couldn't compete at the level that I should have been able to. I've had some great wins and then some bad losses, and I could not put together what was wrong with me, even though I had that pretty good career by most standards. Oh. And so that began a 10-year journey that ended up at the Wilmer Eye Institute at Johns Hopkins in Maryland.
In Maryland, yeah. So Eye Institute.
Yeah, the Wilmer Eye Institute. And what they told me, I finally made sense to me. And that was that there wasn't anything wrong with me. But there was something wrong with how I was thinking during flights of movement of balls. And the instructions were pulling my attention away from the ball. And at times where I was in that zone, I was knocking off some really good players, but it was accidental. And so they did studies on baseball players, and at the time, they could care less about sports, but the Baltimore Orioles were pretty important. And there was a guy that was in a slump. Nothing was wrong with his bat. Nothing was wrong with his body. Nothing was wrong with his life in any way, but he couldn't hit the ball again. He started fouling off, and he dropped from like 3-something, 2-something. And they found out that, as the ball's coming, his eye is being pulled away. So who can see that, right? The batting coaches are working with his elbow up and his elbow down and his head thing. And then they got psychology coaches talking about the emotional side and how you need to handle things in a certain way and don't get too excited when the first pitch is sex big. But neurologically, there's something much deeper. And that's where my answer started with what we think during the flight of a ball has a great deal of impact upon what we do. So take that piece. And then I met 9 months later, after 10 years of running around trying to find out some stories, a gentleman, Dr. Benjamin On, who Arthur Ashe now considers probably the most intelligent, bright person who ever came into the sport of tennis. And he was really a scientist, not about tennis, but he studied the human's eye-hand coordination system as a hobby and found that in our brain, we have certain athletic skills that if we teach them correctly and you get a device to trigger the eye to perform the way it's supposed to, we could be all natural ball strikers and not just one out of every 100,000. And so this is how the whole story came together for me, which was, okay, wow, now I know I'm not a problem, but what about the kids who pick up this sport, and I may not go as far, but, so my story ends with, I think about kids every day who mishit 9 out of 10 times. And as much as we try to make them feel good about it, and much we try to hope they don't miss, actually the best thing they could do is miss. Our instincts will correct faster if we allow them to miss. So the ball and the stick has become now a pathway that we now are calling Billie Jean King's brain training system.
Brain training, not just eye coach. Brain training.
Brain training. Yeah, and brain training. And so, in the other segments, we'll get into that. So for me, it just became a journey of figuring out that it wasn't me, but the way I was being taught to think was putting blocks on me because I had a real fast track all the way up because I didn't really have any coaching. So I was playing through my natural athletic instincts. And so if we learn to tap into those, then the vision is there will be kids like me that come through and I think I'm maybe a lot more people go through and look at this as, it was a good experience. It's a lesson of life and I'm going to move on now that I've learned from tennis. But there's some that might not take it that way and say, dang, I only got to number 6 on my college team, and I should have been 5 or 3 or 2 or, so I don't know what percentage it is. I never did take that study, but the studies that I got into were, which we'll talk later about, are unbelievable. The percentage of balls that actually never hit the sweet spot on the pro tour down to the amateur. It is unbelievable what happens in those last 3 feet in which our eyes are being pulled away and our instructors are getting the blame for instructing, saying, well, I'm going to get another coach, and it's not the coach's fault. It's your fault. So now we're going to teach people how to think, and it'll be Billie Jean King's brain training system that will allow everybody to reach a much higher level. So that's kind of my story, if that makes sense to you guys.
It does, Lenny.
Yeah.
Let's back up a little. When you went to the Eye Institute at Johns Hopkins, what was the injury that you had that got you out of the game and then that you studied about to try to get back in?
Yeah, I didn't do a good segue. I got injured with a dive, ripped my rotator cuff completely out, and so I was couldn't play again. I went back and did try to play, but I couldn't really serve too well. I didn't have a good serve in the first place, so it was even worse. And then, so I went back and we opened up tennis stores. Met my wife in Miami, where I was trying to rehab and see if I could come back. She's the smart one. She was a professional buyer, big time buyer. So we opened up this thing called Totally Tennis, first tennis store in the country.
Famous.
It was only tennis.
Oh,
all we carried was tennis. Like,
we've all heard of it.
Only tennis. And so we ordered a bunch of those. And but in the meantime, that I could care less about doing that. And so Johns Hopkins there, and my buddy was one of the top dogs at the institute. He was Dr. Goldberg was responsible for dyslexic learning and detecting that there was anything wrong with the kid. And so he redefined the brain for that. They could care less about tennis, although he was a great tennis player. So he knew my frustration. He said, I can show you something. I think I can answer some of your problems. And so it literally was 5 minutes. I was like, okay. Nobody ever talked or educated about that to me. And now, we know a lot about the hand, but now the eye thing was great. So Johns Hopkins was like 15 minutes from where I lived in Baltimore. And so that's how I got over to Dr. Goldberg. He said, I think I know what your problem is, and I'll explain to you what's going on. And we're doing some work with the Orioles, and that's kind of how it happened.
Remarkable. Let's go to the second set where we get to ask you some questions about the actual Billie Jean Eye Coach. But now, as it evolves to the brain training, what are the elements? Are they physical? Are they in a lab? Are they on a tennis court? What are the elements of BJK brain training?
I had a joke, but I forgot it because I started listening to you. But it was like, if we ended the first set, do we get a glass of water or something? Or
we get to change ends.
Yeah, because I got the sun in my eye. The elements are neurological elements. It's the brain and how it functions. Like Rosetta Stone, when they teaching language, they went through a different pathway. And now you can learn much faster and absorb. Well, in ball striking, there's another pathway, and that pathway is a kinesthetic brain training system. So the pathway is to learn to feel with the minimum amount of instruction, a dance step or a bicycling, any patterns of movement. So what patterns of movement are in our brain, right, that we could tap into? Well, we can catch, we can throw, and we can hit. And if you look at a human, you say, oh, I know what that is. That's catching. I know what that is. That's hitting. And what is that? Well, that's throwing. Oh, yeah. So that's kind of how we are functioning. So what does that have to do with tennis? Well, tennis is a striking sport, right? Well, in the striking system, we have a receiving mechanism. So we don't have to teach it. It's already in our system.
This is so
the
funny.
less we break down, the less we all learn to not break down what's already there, we can make athletes, we can bring out the natural ball striker in every child, which we'll get into maybe in the fifth set here. But so the mission is that to take a stance that there's a natural ball striker in every human. And tennis, because of the studies we've done, is the ideal ball striking sport to learn first. And after you have gotten about 100 strikes in tennis in our system, you can move on to golf. You can go to baseball.
Baseball, yeah.
Because we will have engaged from 1,000 years ago. It's just they're waiting. Those ball striking instincts are now ready to be whatever you want to do with them. So there is a ball striker in all of us. So in day one, you will see that kids will be running, setting up, striking with a full swing, day one, hitting the sweet spot with the devices about 30% of the time, which is about what a college player hits a sweet spot.
And you're talking about a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Because it's in there, the sweet spot system is in our DNA. So what we want to do is we really want to make a transformational move forward. It's nothing that we have done wrong in our entire teaching system. But as we learn more, now we want to put this out. And I kind of came on here and I even told my team, I said, look, I don't know whether these guys really want to talk about this or not. If they do, great.
Yeah.
Because what we want to do is, the mission for us now is, I can't really say it formally yet, but we formed partnerships with USDA and Fit America.
Yeah, PHIT America, right.
Yeah. And they are the leading organization for child's physical health. And Jim Baugh is the only guy that's went up to Congress. He's fighting for bills because our kids' health situation is so bad that out of 49 countries, we're 48.
Crazy.
The obesity is what he calls a pandemic. And so we have joined forces to use tennis as the ideal ball striking sport.
It really is.
Engage kids with Fit America's running program so that we can train their brains while they're in school. So when they come out, all these courts can get flooded again because there'll be ball strikers that are addicted to, I'm not supposed to use addicted yet.
Yeah.
Ball strikers that are, what's a better word, but the kids love, what keeps you coming back is, and I'm kind of segueing to something, is you know what it's like when you play golf?
Yes.
And you hit that ball straight down the middle one time out of the 18 hours you're out there.
18 hours.
Or when you hit that serve or you hit that backhand volley and it's, wow, man, it feels good to us because it's in our DNA. We are strikers. So what is going to bring a kid back to exercise more than hitting something that feels good?
Oh,
the delivery system for our teachers will be, you don't have to babysit and throw a ball into the middle of their strings. You don't have to say nice shot, even though they barely hit the ball. You can actually coach their instincts day one with a full swing, and they will strike the balls. The iCoach system, because it removes the distractions of the ball flying away in the beginning. So all their attention now is on the strike.
And the head stays still. And
so we remove that distraction, and now we will be, our mission is why we all love tennis, is that it will now become the ideal ball striking sport for every child to learn first. And because of our portable brain training system, it can be done anywhere at any time. But we've had to learn over the last 10 years, what is the delivery that we want? What is the market that we want? What is the niche that we best fit into? And the niche we best fit into is the one that Billie Jean, when I met her 10 years ago and explained what this is all about, she, as like Arthur, the first thing attracted her was the science. And the second thing attracted her was that this guy doesn't seem to be such an idiot, but why has he been doing this for 20, 30 years? What's taking him so long?
Where's this guy been?
The curiosity of my tenacity, I think, persistence, and then the science. A year later, she says, I'm in. What do you want to do? Let's get this into kids. We've got to get the kids moving. So finally, we'll share that, in the fifth set here or something. But I don't know if I'm answering the questions, but I tend to ramble a little bit, but hopefully you'll keep me on track.
Lenny, you're wonderful.
Good,
Thank you. Yeah.
I got a question.
Yes.
I was reading your bio, and I really am fascinated by Special Olympics and autism programs that the iCoach is being used with the Special Olympians and some of your some of the autism programs around the U.S. Tell us a little bit more about that. I find that really fascinating because there's a lot of kids that aren't necessarily tennis proficient, like obviously Lenny's very proficient in tennis, and AJ, and I play a little tennis every now and then. But these kids who are Special Olympians and autistic, how have you found to work with the iCoach to work with them?
Well, there's two levels. One, if the motor cortex, that thing that moves us around, isn't damaged, but they have learning challenges in other ways, but it's not damaged, home free. We have actually a Down syndrome kid made a varsity tennis team. Yes. Varsity tennis on his team. And they have the ability to be trained as if I'm training you, because there's only 3 cues that trigger the instincts, which we'll cover. I don't keep meaning to say that. I just don't know where I'm going with you guys with this, but these kids who are autism, and there's some damage, moving and hitting is still in their system from 1,000 years ago. Moving and hitting. don't need to teach it. Put a soccer ball down and they'll go kick it. They will, you will, I will. You put the iCoach system down, they can go hit it. Their spacing will be fine. It's in our DNA. You see, I sent you a couple of films. You see
I love
little
them.
Kids running up. We never showed them to set up or not. Just get in position, swing, and move. Those are 3 cues. That was all that was used for those kids. Get in position, swing, move. And the only one thing that has to be controlled is that your head must be absolutely rock solid still during the swing. Otherwise, your eye cannot focus if you are looking left and right. You cannot focus at this point of contact. If your eye is moving, it will stop tracking and will not be able to focus to bring it to the contact point.
Lenny, this
Anytime
is...
a head moves...
this is that 3 feet of blind spot that you were referring to earlier. Take us through. I'm about to hit a backhand. Craig or you. Craig still serves 130 miles an hour. Craig hits a 130 miles an hour serve right at my left shoulder. So I turn. I get out of the way. Take me through me doing a bad job with this return.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is your human eye has 3 different functions. First thing you do is you got to pick his ball up.
Yep.
As long as it's not going 200 miles an hour, you can pick up anything.
Yeah.
Because that's about the limit of the span. So anybody that's serving 200 miles an hour, you might swing late. Otherwise, you did not pick it up correctly.
Even Riley Opelka and Nick Kyrgios aren't serving
Doesn't
200.
matter.
They're only going 148 or whatever.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I can handle that.
So our eye is much faster than anything that can move. Watch a jet plane take off, all that. So what is the trigger thought to pick up your eye so your instincts to get to your position will take over? The first thing when you throw it up, I ask the kids, what do you think about? I'm thinking about moving my feet. I'm thinking about making sure I hit it over the net. I'm thinking about getting prepared. I'm thinking about all of those things will pull the attention away from the ball about to leave. Some of them say, and this will upset some people, but it's just good to get the information. Some people say, I want to watch it. I want to focus on it leaving their strings. If you focus on it leaving their strings, you will do a perfect job of seeing it leave its strings, but the ball will be gone. And then you have to pick it up later. So therefore, what is the simple thought is? Simple thought is just get ready to go wherever the ball goes. Just like you're out there hunting. Wherever that rabbit's going, I'm going. Wherever that thing's going, I'm going to go. So the scanning system takes over, and then boom, within the first 3 feet off the racket, Opelka serves, you've picked it up. Now the next thing is what should be on your mind. Now I've got it. Now I just get to your position. Period. Just get to your position. Get to your position. Get to your position. What about when I get there? Whatever you do when you get there, you will remember to do it. You don't ever have to forget that you will swing. You might forget to get to your position. But when the balls come to you, you'll never forget to swing. So therefore, the hitting thought is instinctive. The positioning thought is the dominant thought in our human system if we're going to catch something. Get to your position. When I get there, I'll hit it.
And once I'm in my position, I can strike the ball, I can keep my head still, and I can recover for the next ball.
Probably not, but yeah. What I'm saying is, yes, your instinct to strike is already in your system because you're holding a racket. Now, if you weren't holding a racket, your instinct would be to catch it. And we see a lot of that, right? But catching and ball striking really don't have anything to do with each other. But teaching a kid to catch is good for a baseball.
Yeah.
Or teaching to throw is good for baseball. But the basic striking system for tennis is something that's why they came to us. So we start there. We get them to learn the striking the last 3 feet first. They get that memorized. Then when the ball comes, go hit it.
Brilliant. So when you start a kid off, this is why I loved some of the videos that are on your site that you sent also. The kid with the curly hair and the shovel making perfect contact, and he leaves his head down like Federer gorgeous. And then the other one was the much younger kid with a blue pacifier in his mouth, and he's ripping golf balls one after another. And they're not just like balls that are set up for him. He hits one, then he takes a step or two, then rips the next one. Step or two. The entire time, there's no head shift. He is in.
Yeah. But so at some point you say, well, why do we you've been to say, Lenny, if we actually get the head to stop so that they can focus, that takes care of everything. Pretty much. Whatever you've taught them will be able to come out on time.
Yeah.
Whatever strokes that you can. But pretty much the opposite is true. If it's moving at all,
the head,
then it pretty much impacts everything the other way.
Oh, I know.
Not that we can't.
Yeah.
So where do we start? Day one, the kids learn to hit the ball over the net, but they cannot look.
Brilliant.
They cannot look. Day one. And now they're running and hitting, and that's what do we want, right?
Absolutely. So, whether you are, Craig asked that great question about kids who are on the spectrum of autism, whether you are or whether you're that Down syndrome kid, whether you're high functioning or a kid who's not on the spectrum, that is brilliant that you're starting with the last 3 feet and you're emphasizing the success, which brings me to, Craig went pretty heavy with autism, but I want to go almost as heavy and talk about, you mentioned the obesity among children epidemic. How about the anxiety and depression epidemic and the confidence that comes from success in this, whether it's, I started off with tennis, but I also played a decent level of ice hockey and, of course, a little soccer, but baseball. And I thought, gosh, I couldn't do this before I was a tennis player. And now that I'm 7 as a tennis player, I'm actually kind of good at the striking sports, whether it's I don't know, catching a ball, or I realize catching and receiving and all that is different from striking, or it's forehand wrist shot, or it's hitting righty or lefty in baseball. It's all the same. And I don't know if I was that good with leaving my head still, but I must have been decent enough. And this is that confidence that kids need to combat some of this depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem and things like this, which clearly you went through after being near the top of the mountain. It's crazy.
Yeah. I wish I could sound like really intelligent and give you some super wow, yeah, listen to this story. But it's really simple. If you begin learning what it feels like to hit the sweet spot, you're done.
You're done.
You're done. And you can take there's what's going to feel better to a kid than to know I feel it. I felt that. That's something, and you do that day one, day 2, day 3, day 4. And by the way, these kids are running. They hit 10 to 12 shots. It's 10 yards. Run up, set up, move, run up, set up, move. There's 100 yards of cardio fitness, brain training fitness going on at the same time, which Jim Baugh's studies on Fit America shows it. When these kids, they call it's an AMP program. It's unbelievable. But when your kids start exercising, their brains start to
grow.
Light up.
Yeah, light up, grow.
And so we become a perfect, our goal is to enhance his vision. Our goal with the USTA is to be able to put tennis back into a spotlight that will forever make a transformational picture for our sport, so that parents and all of us realize we are pretty good ball strikers to begin with. No, I don't have any hand-eye coordination. Of course you do. Of course you got hand-eye coordination. Go to the bathroom. You must have hand-eye coordination. Sit on the toilet and get back up again. So I got to be somewhere, some kind of athlete there.
That's the other BSer.
The other BS.
Right. Yeah, I heard him say ball striker. Ball striker. I was like, wow, he's about to go bull.
The other ball. The other one. The other BS.
Right. So anyway, I have lived on the outside since those days of my journey, and I don't mean to. The vision we have now is to be inclusive to be helpful, to be able to give out new information. If there's a new treatment for a disease, we want that out. Tennis is such a powerful sport. And if we can help it now become the most transformational ball striking sport, then when all of us are listening to this, then you really put me in the place where I was hoping I could get to anyhow, which is to say, this isn't about Billie Jean King. This isn't about I coach. This isn't about, well, it's about money at some point because we got to be able to make a living doing it.
Of course.
But it's really about a vision about kids being able to be successful day one and taking the stress off of our delivery system providers who have to go out there and when I talked to you about the studies that we did, never done before, 2 years of studying the last 3 feet and where a ball lands. And of course, when it hits in the sweet spot, that's your most effective result. And so in watching this future of our sport, if they can hit the sweet spot day one, we have made a turn. And it's not about head still. It's about where your attention is. The only reason we move our head is why?
Because
there's a pretty girl going down the street.
Yeah, we're distracted. We're curious.
We want to see something else before we finish something first. And it's in our system that the concept of over there, which is throwing, when I throw, I look where? There, other side of the net. But when I hit, I look where? Here, on this side. So when we strengthen the hitting instinct, we take away the throwing, we now have deliverers who can now, instead of putting so much pressure on, well, I want to make sure this kid doesn't miss. I want to make sure they have fun. I'm going to run them around in circles. I'm going to hit balls at them. I'm going to pat balls up and down. I'm going to do all these things, which are great. But if they can now not have to worry about them having fun and worry about them hitting the sweet spot, which will take care of it, then we can create a whole lot more people that are going to come into our sport as parents to teach in the beginning, because the devices, we have parents and everybody doing. So I'm kind of getting off my subject again, but anyway, whatever subject I was on, I think I lost it.
No, Lenny, you're rolling, and we had an Animal House moment. Like, did the Germans like Pearl Harbor? Shut up, he's on a roll.
He's on a roll.
Like, that was good, Lenny. Keith, let him go. He's on a roll. That was good.
I've got a thought for you, because AJ and I are.
That was good. We may have to bring Donald Duck out.
We'll bring him out in the third set.
We will.
He'll be around. Don't worry about that.
Oh, yeah, we know.
But we're part of a Native American task force, AJ and I, and I was just sitting there thinking, boy, how great would this be with some of those kiddos in the Native American community that don't get these opportunities, like the kids maybe at a tennis facility or a club facility.
One of our pals who, or in fact, 2 of them, have cited access to tennis courts as one of the main challenges.
Right, but
under $200, this amazing device off a court. I know my son used the thing in the snow. I think you saw the video, but even in the kitchen, to crack backhands and just move around and get the spacing for my forehand and keep it
in the gym,
in the gym,
in the hall, in the school, or whatever. That might be a good.
I just want to interrupt for somebody.
Go ahead.
You guys, because if your listeners are there, I worry about them right now, because, and I'm this is not normal talking, but my worry is that let's not miss the mission of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not talking about buying something and putting it in your home and doing that. We're talking about a transformational opportunity.
Big picture.
That we are partnering with the USTA.
Wow.
They spent 2 years with us, 3 years, studying. We went to all the different schools. We went over 25 different schools, 25 different PE teachers, and got their feedback. They loved it for different reasons than you and I would, because it was safe. They have to pick up balls, because the kids got engaged. It made their job much more simplistic and powerful than the traditional ways that we've had to introduce tennis. And so we had to pass all these tests, So the bigger picture is, yes, we have at-home systems. We have a system we're going to be launching for homeschool. There's 1 million kids in homeschool. What are they doing for exercise, right? So if they take a 5-minute break and they do brain training, we call it sweet spot brain training, right? And they do 5 minutes of that. How does that feel? Boom, 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 boom. You're like, and it's with the what? It's with a tennis racket, not
Love
a golf
it.
club.
Yeah.
With a tennis racket. So our sport is by far the ideal ball striking sport because you cannot get as many reps in 5 minutes in golf, unless you're on a driving range. You know, it's very, very different. So we can store the reps. We can get 100 reps in a short period of time. It's enough to transfer and bring out the ball striking instincts that they're born with, and then ship them over to courts, facilities, and then hopefully our next phase will be that we will learn to not overcoach them again and break down these instincts, and then we put the instruction in ways that would continue to allow the brain, like the Rosetta Stone pathway, bring that instruction in. And at some point, I do want you to tell me, Lenny, how do you get the instruction in without breaking down the eye? There is a way now.
It's so funny you mentioned that. We used to have a segment on this show. We kind of ripped off Jerry Seinfeld a little bit. Instead of comedians in cars getting coffee, we called it coaches courtside making fun of other coaches. And I would say the central thing that we made fun of in many coaches who are our personal friends, even ourselves, is coaches tend to overcomplicate things. Coaches tend to break down things, which is maybe it's good when you have an existing stroke that's a bit flawed. It's good to have the skills to break something down. But my goodness, when you take a pure, athletic, instinctive body and you break stuff down and overcomplicate it, and then you separate everything from, okay, that's a receiving skill, that's a striking skill, my goodness, let's be holistic and let's let this kid roll, you know?
Yeah, it's in a nice way, you're 1,000% correct. But our human system is not geared for sport.
No.
Not geared to be able to strike something and send it over there. If I'm going to hit you, I'm not trying to hit you and make you go down the line.
Yeah.
You know, my strike ends at where I strike you. If I'm striking something, striking is here and throwing is there. If you ask your brain to do here and there at the same time, it will come back to you and say, I'm done. And you'll lose your balance. The information that you had learned will not get out on time. It happened to me. It happens to everyone. And then we think, oh, I have to fix the stroke.
Yeah.
Actually, what do we need to fix? We need to fix what they're thinking. The stroke is already in their system.
Interesting.
What were you thinking? Oh, I was thinking down the line. Well, the eye will be pulled away. The information will not get in. The stroke cannot get out on time. So it's not the coach's fault. It's the process of thinking. We have to teach them what to think in order to execute. And if they're thinking wrong things, then wrong things come out, right? So it's just a very simple concept of the most important thing we think in life is how to think. So what should we be thinking after you've taught me my forehand?
That's my question.
What do I need to be able to think when I'm on the court? Do I think about my unit turn? Do I think about my knee bend? Do I think about my whatever the terms are, you know, my stroke, my finish, my wrist break? Yeah, but not when you're playing. When you're playing, you trust those instincts and those patterns are in. Now let's think about the most important thing, which is get ready to go wherever the ball goes.
Meaning
get to your position.
Get in your position, yeah.
And then trust your instincts when you're there, that your coach has taught you where to hit, how high to hit over the net. You've done your practicing, and now you trust those instincts, and that's what's called playing in the zone. And so that's where my learning came from. I played out of the zone sometimes. I played in the zone sometimes. I had no idea why my timing at times was phenomenally good and at times phenomenally bad. And so now we can get rid of that. And we'll also be able to do something pretty fantastic. Do you know how many times we say, keep your eye on the ball? A lot, right? You know how many times we say, you keep your head still? A lot, right? Imagine in a transformational program, you never say that again. You never have to say, keep your head still or keep your eye on the ball. They're words that the brain cannot understand in the first place. So we might as well recognize that we can't understand them in the first place because we say them all the time and it still happens. So what we do in day one is we build in the head still with ever not saying it, but you have to leave your eye where the ball was. That is ball striking. You watch a baseball player, guys, after this is all over and all your audience, go watch the baseball players and you'll see the ball has gone and their eye is where the ball was. Go watch the golfers hit out of a sand trap. There's sand flying all over the place. The ball's coming out in slow motion. Where's their eye? It's where the ball was. They're professional ball strikers. But actually, what we're saying, as stupid as it sounds, Billie Jean knows, and also this is why we're doing it, every child has a chance to be the best ball striker they can be. So therefore, it will be your head still, but it's not thinking your head still. It's what are you thinking? I'm actually finishing my swing. And when I finish my swing, okay, now I'll take a look. Mm-hmm. But always finish what you start. And if they start, if Craig gives me a perfect lesson on my backhand, he's got me zeroed down. I go out to my court, and all of a sudden that backhand's gone again. I have to go back to Craig and say, whatever you taught me, you got to teach me again. I'm sorry. I thought I had it, but I don't. He does it again. I get it right. Now, this is me. I don't mean you, Craig, but just that's our lives as coaches.
I'm just going to charge you more. I'm just going to charge you more.
Repeating. And we become great coaches because we become great shrinks.
Yeah.
We start to understand how to make you feel better that you're failing. Then actually, they're not failing at all. They're just not executing my instruction. So your club players are executing about 20% utilization of what I taught them. You say, why 20? Because 80% of the time they're mishitting. Mm-hmm. So 20% of the time they're getting their money's worth. 80% they're not. We can change all of that with the brain training system, where when you teach me, I can go home and practice and get 80% of those reps in the way you want it with my elbow, my wrist. 80% of them I can do it 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day, I'll get about 120 sweet spot hits with your instruction. If I go to the court, it'll take me over an hour to get close to that if I could. So now we can now take the pressure off the coach, and we can now start with the sweet spot, start with the last 3 feet, and be able to push that practice to the courts. And then we've got ourselves a whole new professional coaching system where coaches can now coach. They don't have to worry about the emotions of, I hope they come back, and oh my gosh, they lost. I know he's coming back, and he's going to come back and say he lost his forehand again, and I'm going to have to reboot him up and teach him. And I'm not putting it down. I lived in this world, right?
Yeah.
And that's what bothered me. So now what were you thinking? What were you thinking? Oh, we have to now. So the mental game is really put into a parenthesis. The mental game, for the first time through science, can be delivered is what you should think during the point. When Craig serves to you tonight, when you guys get out and go hit some serves, I want you to be thinking very clearly. The first thing is, and that ball goes up, wherever the ball goes, I'm going to get it.
Get in position.
This will relax your eye, and you're a hunter again. Wherever it goes, I'm going to get it. Unless it goes over 200 miles an hour, you got it. You got it. The next thing you'll do is go to my position. But it's triggered automatically, just like our strikers. So just get to your position. Get to your position. Now, of course, you're skilled, so you have all of these skills. Not everybody. You got to start off somewhere. So of course, we went into about 20 different subjects. Your audience probably is going to get coffee.
I tell you what, I want to drift a little on a funny tangent or a fun tangent. You made an interesting comment earlier. You said we weren't made for sport. You talked about hunting. What were we made for? Harvesting? What are the striking things that are primordial and in there?
Well, to eat. we had to eat. We had to, something's going too fast, we had to throw at it.
Yeah.
We could throw something at it. We got to be pretty good throwers. Think of baseball as the ideal catching, hitting, and throwing sport. We throw, we catch, and we hit. But we do not do them simultaneously. So we're not made to hit something with a throwing idea in it. I'm hitting it to make it go there. The throwing instinct pulls our eye away. From the last 3 feet. So now what am I thinking? I'm thinking there. No, actually think here. And then, so then you say, well, how the heck, Lenny? How the heck can I hit it over there if I can't look? I don't know. How does golfers do that? They're not looking. How does Federer? How does Medvedev? How do these top Grand Slammers? They're not looking. What do I need to learn? Actually, I don't have to learn anything. But there is a secret in our system. If you don't look, you activate the visualization system in our mind.
That's brain training.
Yeah. But it's already there. So if I say to you, you cannot look, and say, oh my gosh, if a 4-year-old, he's going to, no, then he'll look over. I say, just over. Now you can't look when you hit it there. He'll visualize it. Once you visualize something, your brain is quiet. It pushes all the noise out of your system. And what we're going to teach these kids is how to brain train by learning to hit the sweet spot. And that same system of brain training transfers to the classroom. They now will be able to focus and pay attention better because it's in their DNA to hit a sweet spot, means they had to visualize, they had to quiet their mind, they had to think about only one thing at one moment, and that's the contact, not where it's going. When they do 2 things at once, they're multitasking, and that's just like everything else. So tennis will be the ideal sport, not only for ball striking, but to transfer to the focus in the classroom. So when we get 1,000 balls in our brain that we have focused, that brain system now is activated to focus on any one subject, wherever it is, and especially its distractions.
Yeah.
Distractions are on the court. I just focus on my contact. And I'll summarize this little story, so if that's made sense to you, AJ.
Definitely.
Billie Jean King knew something was right because she said to me, I have been saying this for my entire career, to focus at the contact. Her newsletter was called Point of Contact.
I mean, it's a double entendre, but I think of her not just as an activist and a revolutionary for women's sport, all sports, but I think of her also as the queen of POC, point of contact training.
So what blended for us meaning my relationship with her, was just how does this work? It's very simple. By removing the thought of there, we can strengthen the thought of here. Mm-hmm. And here is, and it went bingo to her at the same time. And then she told me this story. She said, do you know what I do in my matches? I said, what? So she takes this ball. He says, this is what I do. I take this with me before my matches. I take it with me everywhere I travel. And before I go on the court, I look at this side of the ball. And you put this all together now that we take throwing over there and hitting, and what instincts she's triggering. And I make everything, the most important thing to me is what happens on this side of the ball. I don't even know who I'm playing. I play this side of the ball. Well, now that ties together, doesn't it? There is no there. It's here. Her instincts to visualize and strike carried her to about 39 Grand Slams.
Amazing.
The second thing that we just had a meeting Thursday with the USTA and formulating some things and Fit America and this collaborations. It's a dream come true. Is I quoted her. I don't think she knew I knew about this one. And she says, and I said to everybody, this one tied to this is another Billie Jean King story. I hope it's okay, Billie Jean, I'm saying these. She says to her kids when they're training and learning, she says, think of your brain as a computer. Okay. Now, every time you make a mistake, I never made a mistake. It was only feedback, information that I put into my computer, deleted all the negative, and went to the next ball. It was never that I'm making a mistake. Think of your brain as a computer. It's now got the data. It's made the self-correction. It's ready for the next situation to happen. Move on. Don't put any negative in. It's look at as a mistake as feedback. Oh, geez, I hit the top of the net. Oh, gosh, what did I do wrong? My wrist, my elbow, I got to bend my knees more. I got to watch it. No, that's feedback. You just got all the feedback in this computer. She was right. That's exactly how it works. Instincts learn from mistakes. We don't learn. We can't teach the instinct. Instincts teach us. So these athletic survival instincts, you miss. Do the next one. Do the next one. Now, this is after you've had a good coaching and, all the stuff is in, right, obviously. So your coaching has to be built in. But then when you miss, that's just a mistake. Just think of your brain as a computer. So two things that Billie Jean King, 39 Grand Slams later, could not communicate. Fed Cups, Martina, everybody shoots. You can't, because neurologically, we're not geared for sport. We're geared to strike something, but we're not geared to hit this and make it go there. So the device in the last 3 feet is a neurological solution to a huge train wreck that goes in our system that affects our sport, affects kids' confidence, affects coaches' ability to keep people staying in the sport. It affects our delivery system, all the volunteers that go out to introduce sport. We don't allow them to miss. We don't allow them to strike a ball. We give them, because we don't want them to not have a good success.
Yeah.
But the opposite would be, no, let's let them go strike something.
Yeah.
And bring that out. And that's what so you're going to see in the coming year. We're going to get about 1,000 schools, and we'll be starting a program that will be called Physical Literacy, and it's Billie Jean King, Fit America, and USTA will be. It'll be coming out next month, so just look for it. But it's been 3 years in the making, and our dream is that the tennis will become the ideal first sport. We will now start teaching. Other sports will follow. They will want to start saying, how do we teach the sweet spot first?
Yeah.
And so if we can get this going, and this happens for you guys, and we can start a sweet spot blog, our goal is that unit turn. Who doesn't know what unit turn is?
A lot of people don't know, but tennis coaches certainly.
Okay, us guys, we know.
Yeah, of course.
How about if we started talking, hey, let's make sure we get the sweet spot program going.
Yeah.
Your sweet spot program, not ours.
Everybody.
Let's get our sweet spot program going. What does that mean? It means we don't reward mishits and say good shot. We reward sweet spot, good shots. That means day one, you cannot move your head. Now, that's okay day one, because if they don't move their head, they'll start focusing. They're thinking, don't move their head, they'll miss the ball. But as sooner or later now, so do you have a watch on your, I want you to do this. Anybody have a watch? Okay, look at your watches. See the second hand going?
Yes.
Now I want you to move your head back and forth about 3-4 feet and try to look at that second hand. Can you see it?
Blur. No. I mean, I can't see where it is. No.
Okay, great.
I can see the back of
moving.
it.
My watch here, the second hand stopping.
So anyway, so the point is, how do you expect somebody to focus on the ball if their head's moving? To focus, which is the third skill, to focus, you have to be still. I'm focusing on you right now, but I'm doing this. I cannot focus. Now I have to track. So the more we educate on the eye and what it can do, and that's the Wilmer Institute background, the more we educate on the human's athletic instincts and those patterns, and we don't break them down, then every child can run and hit and run and hit day one. And I think I should get off my pulpit here and start listening to you. Sorry.
I love it. And I appreciate the links to Billie Jean, who, we're talking about point of contact training, but I also remember her as a player, a coach, a captain, and a commentator. How many times did she use the word in the now or in the moment. This is a physical manifestation of in the now and in the moment. And of course, she's probably talking big picture also, but it includes this small picture contact.
Yeah. Yeah, it's point of contact training, but we morphed it into a Billie King brain training, sweet spot brain training system. And, so sweet spot, we'd like to have sweet spot become something that everybody says, how's your kid hitting sweet spot? Oh, not how many times I hit it over.
Yeah.
You don't want to hit 100 balls over the net.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when that kid goes to a tournament?
Boy, this frees the kid up. Freedom to fail is one thing that I'm learning tonight. I love that. It frees the kid up as I'd say kid, athlete, adult, 90-year-old man, woman, whatever. It frees the athlete up to perform with good contact and confidence, and it frees the coach up to talk tactics more, or strategic wisdom, or mental toughness, which kind of comes from the confidence of nailing the sweet spot 80, 85, 90% of the time. That's the deal. That's what we are. I know you didn't want to use the word addicted, but that's what we're enamored of. That's what we're in love with as athletes, former athletes, strikers of the ball. That's what we're into.
Yeah, it's well said.
Oh.
Didn't Ty Webb say, see the ball, be the ball?
Yeah.
No. See the ball, be the ball.
Little Caddyshack reference. You with Animal House and Caddyshack tonight. Nice.
I'm on my A game tonight.
You are. Hey, Lenny, this is going to go huge in about a month. I want to talk a little bit about, as we end up the second set, about current and future projects. You've already done a great job talking about those. How many countries? Craig tells me it's a huge number that you've got the iCoach going. And then how many countries will the Fit America initiative spread to?
Well, it's kind of a false number, but 49 countries. Somebody is doing something with a ball on a stick.
Love it.
Not sure what they're doing, but because we've had to learn ourselves, and mostly we learned from the coaches, because my first belief was we need to go to the coaches and let them be the delivery system. But that was, so for 8 or 9 years, we really worked hard. I traveled to you guys, traveled down, I just went everywhere.
Yeah, I remember this.
And it was the biggest learning curve I ever had was doing this. It was, it's well over 400 or 500 coaches, well over 100 and some sites. But we're a tough breed once we get locked in on something and we get comfortable with it. And I understand that, but I learned so much from it that when I give you the answer, we're in 49 countries, but now what we have learned most is that as we improve our videos and our at-home training, the at-home training system can become our global market.
199 countries.
You cannot practice. You cannot get to the courts. And if we can now show you that we can train your brain at home, and between lessons, you practice at home almost perfectly, it will transfer to the court for all the science we just covered, right?
Yeah.
There's no mystery to this. And when you're perfecting the last 3 feet of a stroke, it's still stimulating striking. That ball coming from the other side of the net is not the problem. The tracking has never been the problem. We are trackers, but we were not ball strikers to send it away. So now we perfect this. The tracking is fine. So 49 countries is where we are. And what our belief is that if we can position tennis to be an at-home ball striking sport for practicing, learning, then we'll get them out of the house again because it'll feel good. They'll be addicted. Hey, I got to go out and try this. And you guys will all be winners with this. So that's Billie Jean's mission. Fit America's mission, it's a good question. I'm glad to keep bringing them up.
Thank you.
There's, I think, 50 million kids right now running around in schools. Half of them don't have PE. They're taking that out, which is a
criminal
big fight.
Criminal.
And so I think he's already up to about 700,000 just by himself and we've got a lot. So we're going to join forces with them. Our goal this year is to get to, there's about 400 in a school, 1,000 schools. We have about 400,000 kids. We will be able to introduce ball striking to these kids with a racket in their hand as their ideal sport. And for our collaborative efforts, we just wanted to go to those 60 million kids and start a whole transformational program that will be sustainable and repeatable for generations to come. Now, yeah, that's a big deal, but it's a more important deal for somebody like Billie Jean King, whose passion today is how are we going to make the future generations more successful? What do we pass forward? So, I speak on her behalf and her passion, and I can't speak enough about her, and everyone can. Of course, you guys saw the Super Bowl twin toss, I hope.
That was definitely, yeah. In fact,
how about that for an honor for an individual? So if we all get behind this, then I'm pretty much being open about this. You guys figure out how to make this work. We want to get everybody behind getting a racket in every kid's hand with Fit America's program. Get them exercising. They get rewarded for their laps. There's an easy scan where it goes on a file and they get rewards, and he gets them pushing with fitness. Then we put the rackets in their hand right in PE, right in the classroom. We only need one person needs 10 feet, and the brain will feel like it's on the court. But you can have 6 or 8 kids needing 20, 30 feet, and they get and so that's what Billie Jean wants. That's what Fit America wants, and what we're hoping is that we're smart enough to listen to everybody and provide you what you want so that this becomes transformational.
Lenny, count us in on your mission. We love this.
Yeah.
It warms my heart to hear how many kids are going to have a racket in their hands and learn to be strikers and movers. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Remember that? Just look at that video, and we're going to. I'll update you on it, but there's a funding thing that's going to be launched, and I'll give you some more about that, because we're going to select a certain number of schools in a certain number of areas, and we'll be out. So I'll give you the heads up on that, or I can tell it to you now if you really want to know.
No, tell us now. So
hit us right now, Lenny.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, it's going to be out next month. It's going to be 500. There's 2 different programs. This year, the first year, it's going to be, we have these. There'll be 800 schools, and they'll each be able to get the program for $500. It's a one-time cost. It'll be $1.25 a kid. Is basically what it is, and it's full turnkey. The sections don't have to do anything. It's all done inside. Nobody has to go out and manpower it or watch or do anything. It's all done right in, because we've done it 20 times with all the PE teachers. So we will select the first 800 schools from different sections. We want to have it as cross-section much as we can. Then coupled with that is Fit America is going to be providing a much more extensive program, but completely funded.
Okay.
With us in it. But they're limited to what they're going to be doing. So in the following year, they will be able to get on the waiting list to get that next level of that program from Fit America, which is a fantastic running package. So if that makes sense, what we'll do is we'll look for 800 schools. We want $500 per school, and that gets us off and running, and that's what we're doing.
Congrats, and God bless you. That is a great mission, and we were already proud to have you on the show, and now we're so excited for you. Well done, Lenny.
Actually, I just sent a link on
you
Facebook.
just put a link up. Good man. Thank you.
I'm putting a link up as we're going along.
Speaking of the Facebook or YouTube feed, any questions before we go to the third set?
We just had a couple of comments. Rick Eckloff, one of our loyal listeners, a little while ago said, Stephen Covey used to say, begin with the end in mind.
Say it again.
Go ahead.
Begin with the end in mind. That's a quote from the great author Stephen Covey.
Stephen R. Covey, yep. And then also John Worley, match play, spin of the ball. So,
Bill Tilden's great book.
Right.
That's right. Coach John there. Yeah, good stuff. Well, let's head to the third set. Before we do, Lenny, hit us with, I know Craig just put a link up, but maybe you can tell people where they can find you, whether it's an email or a website.
Me is Lenny at theicoach.com. The iCoach is TheEyeCoach.
Easy.
.com. Lenny at theicoach.com.
And Lenny is spelled Lenny, folks at home.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And Craig Bell.
Ready?
Who are we rolling with in this? Who's the sponsor of the third set?
Well, besides Billie Jean King's iCoach, we do have another sponsor. That would be the great Blair Descaret, who, happy birthday, Blair, today, because this is his...
February 20th.
February 20th. Yeah, we have a birthday for one of our sponsors, Blair Descaret with Master Systems.
And in case anybody's wondering how old he is, we should get him a bottle of Heinz ketchup for the birthday, huh?
Right. So there's a cryptic message inside.
A little cryptic. He happens to be turning 57 today.
Right.
Yeah.
Heinz 57. So
that's good.
Congratulations to our
Very
buddy.
good, AJ.
All right. See, this guy's just not another pretty face. You know,
I know it.
I'm not even that.
Yeah. Rafa would be so impressed, right, Rafa?
Well, thank you very much. No, Craig Bell, thank you for setting me up. No, I enjoy very much to talk to Lenny and to learn how to have good focus on my forehand. No, is my one of my best shots, and I want to make it better. No.
Well, you're gonna be like your buddy Roger Federer and have Fed head, right? Is that correct?
Fed head.
You're gonna watch the
Fed
ball.
head.
You're
the
gonna
face is in there.
Just like your buddy Roger. You're gonna have to keep your eye on the ball, right?
Well, always wanting to be more like Federer. No, Rogelio is the best. No.
Right.
Donald Duck, tell us your thoughts on all of this. Have you had a good time tonight, Donald?
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. I've had so much fun. I can't tell you. First of all, I learned so much about AJ and your ability to listen. Boy, are you a good listener. Craig, my gosh. You drink so much water. You drink so much water.
You are so dead on with the Donald.
Oh, that is Mel Blanc would love you. He'd be proud right there. The great Mel.
You always have to have a backup plan. I got a backup plan.
Always, baby. That's good.
That's what we'll get into that in the third segment of the third set.
Good.
So I'll ask him this question. So we'll save that question for later.
Later.
That's a cryptic message.
I can
also
tell. I like the foreshadowing.
I'm not giving it away.
Good.
It's kind of like a radio liner. They kind of plug something, and try to get you to watch it a little bit later. So I'm going to plug that and then say, well, and back to Blair Descaret.
Oh yes,
with
Master Systems.
Yeah. If anybody needs any court products besides the Billie Jean King iCoach, Blair Descaret is your man. He can do court surfacing just like these courts back here. He resurfaced those. Did a great job. This is 8 years later. Their work has been down for 8 years. It's still a great.
These courts are perfect. The lights are amazing, and the courts are still perfect.
Yep. And so our buddy Blair Descaret with Master Systems will take care of you. So look at Master Systems here in Dallas, and Blair might even travel out to Charleston. He might even go out to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah, he might go over there. So
Bring it.
All right.
Bring it.
All right, Lenny. First band you saw in concert.
What?
First band, B-A-N-D, band.
That I saw in concert.
Yeah. I'm going to think this is going to be interesting.
I mean, he is from the 60s.
I know.
He was in college in the late 60s, the best time to be into music.
Do you recall?
Golly, I mean, my mind's a blank. What am I doing?
Or what about a memorable one? What about, let's say, a memorable band you saw in concert?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so tennis blogged out that I have to switch to my brain that lives life.
We'll turn that off.
Can I come to another one and I'll get back to that one?
Yeah,
we
sure.
will.
Yeah.
This is funny because we've stumped him.
It
It wasn't 2 hours ago that he was about to sing.
Yeah. Donald, who's your favorite band? Donald Duck. Anyway, what's your favorite type of music?
Oh, yeah,
if you listen to music, what do you like?
My favorite type of music is kind of soft rock.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Air Supply?
Kind of. A little softer. I mean, also I'm much more mellow now, so I'm more like a James Taylor, which isn't soft rock, but I like his vibe a lot. And Michael McDonald. So I'm really shifting more and more into an old age home.
So it's like Michael McDonald of Doobie Brother days, or like of On His Own,
or later.
See, I got you there.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of a band.
That's okay. If you're in a band, let's say if you're in a band, I don't know if you play a musical instrument or not. This will kind of tell about your personality. We always like to ask this question. If you're in a band, where would you be in the band? Would you be the lead singer? Would you be like a guitarist? Would you be a rhythm? You hit
it first time.
Lead singer. Nailed it.
All right. So would he be like James Taylor? Are you a James Taylor kind of guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Folk, and you probably would write your own songs too.
I don't know. I've never put my brain on that either. I don't know.
Yeah, well, see, we're good at this. See, we're going to reveal some stuff.
Lenny, if I can interest you in 6 months of Billie Jean King brain training, you're going to get your brain there, baby. We're going to get you there.
Right. This isn't James Brown. This is James Taylor, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
and
James Brown.
And whether it was after Doobie Brothers or during his time there, Michael McDonald's unbelievable.
Right.
What we getting some comments on the
Brothers on Tennis from our favorite podcast out on the West Coast. Michael McDonald is the capital truth. So we have a loyal listener out in the West Coast.
Yeah, Orange County in
the OC,
Los Angeles. Yeah.
Right, so thank you, Brothers on Tennis, for the big shout out there. So you'd be the lead singer, right? So you'd be a James Taylor. Would you be playing the piano up there, or would you playing the guitar? What would you, or the glockenspiel like me? I'm a glockenspiel player.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm famous.
Accomplished.
I think if I get to my next life experience, I'll have a guitar.
A guitar. Okay.
Yeah. I'll be right there.
Drumming the six string on your front porch swing, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. First paid job besides this job. I'm sure you've had one.
First paying job.
Yes.
My first paying job was a stock boy in a clothing store. And yeah, that was my first paying job, stock boy in a clothing store, bring the shirts up. And then I got promoted to even being on the floor, and I was like 15.
So 15. Sales, you went from stock to sales.
Yeah, but I was terrible. I didn't want to be. I didn't even want to be there. I just had to get some money.
Was that there in Baltimore? Was that in the Baltimore days?
Yeah.
Do you remember the place? What was the name of the store, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, it's pretty. His name, he was the best player to ever come out of Baltimore until me. Oh, no, Pam Shriver, too.
Right.
But it's in the male side. And his name was Eddie Jacobs.
Mm-hmm. Eddie Jacobs.
And he was the first, he had a patent on, you ever see ties with cross tennis rackets on them?
Sure, yeah.
Sure, absolutely. I own one.
Well, he was the first guy to have all of that. So he kind of liked me, and I was 15 and I was just starting this thing up, and so he kind of mentored me a little bit, and he taught me something that I wish I had never learned, but he taught me. So anyway, I'm going to switch to him for a second, because nice man, but it doesn't sound like I'm going to make him nice, but he was. But he was teaching me some. He says, now when you get out there, don't the person on the other side of that's your enemy. So I took that literally at 15. You want to beat them. And when I got onto this tour, I wasn't friendly with anybody. They were all my enemies. And it was really sad, because I didn't understand that message to the point that, all right, I can't. And one tournament in Australia, a guy who broke the ice for me was named Richard Russell. You ever hear of Richard Russell on the tour? He was the number one Jamaican player, the Davis Cup, and great guy. I mean, he became a friend to me, and I played him, and I won, and we're in the locker room, and my shoulder's still hurting, and he comes over to me, and I'm like, all right, what's this? I'm not supposed to talk to you. Mm-hmm. And he says, here, he says, I see your shoulder's hurting. I said, yeah. And you ever hear Tiger Balm?
Of course,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what that was. Tiger Balm. Gives it to me. This will help you. And it broke the ice. for me. I said, well, this is different. And then he knew Australia. It was my first tour there. And so he said, come on, where are you going? I said, well, I'm to Brisbane. He says, I got people in Brisbane that I stay with. Do you have any place to stay? I said, no. He said, so stay with me. Like,
amazing
so
friend.
That's Jamaica. You know, that's the culture of what life's supposed to have been. So I missed a bunch of years thinking I was hiding out from the enemy. Those funny stories, yeah.
And from Richard, you learned that you can be collaborators, you can be empathetic and friendly.
Yeah.
Greater,
I mean,
convivial. They can be convivial.
Convivial is
they can be convivial.
One of Craig's favorite words from not a Jamaican but an American, Rick Steves.
So did he turn you on to Bob Marley and the Wailers? Did you take in?
I love Bob Marley.
Yes,
I love Bob Marley.
Now we're talking. See,
yeah.
You
I
would.
love Bob Marley. He's on Saturdays I put him on, and we have a pretty cool look over some water and stuff. On Saturday mornings I put that on, and my wife said, right now we're just going to go to Bob Marley and just have a couple of, hey, yeah. Now you get me. I'm starting to get out of my tennis mode. This is good.
I love
we
it.
have another 4 hours.
And
we can go
your adorable wife is probably like, we're jamming.
Have a cup of cappuccino and sit out there and look at the.
This Saturday, that's your Saturday morning date.
Right.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, just not all the time, but yeah. Sometimes let's put that on and chill out a little bit.
Love it.
Favorite movie, TV show, kind of? Are you a movie, TV watcher?
Yeah. What I like now, I've been doing some streaming. Jeez, I'm really
Netflix? Did you watch?
coming bad here.
Do you watch stuff on Netflix? Or are you?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of this shows like, I don't know if it's too political here, but
No,
I really enjoy hearing different sides of what's going on in the world, and and a guy that brings all those people together and they scream and yell at each other stuff. But I really like Bill Maher because of his reflections. He brings stuff together and you fight. But I'd like to hear different sides. So I've gotten used to that. I like to hear different newscasts to see, because I'm really confused about what's real and what's not real out there. So I'm trying to keep learning. But from TV shows, This Is Us is really heavy. I have to get ready for it, because then I get, how the hell they make it so real?
Oh, and the music, and then you start crying. You're like, oh my God, what am I doing?
You're right.
Turn on some Bob Marley. Turn on some Bob Marley.
What are you guys? What are your favorite shows?
Good question.
I'm not supposed to ask that.
No, I'm a Western guy. I go to bed listening to Westerns. I go to sleep following whatever's on the Westerns channel. I'm boring, so sorry.
Yeah.
I hate the.
Like, who's your favorite Western hero type?
Oh, like Randolph Scott. People way back in the day. So I'm like in the 40s and the 50s. Audie Murphy. Randolph
You're
Scott.
also in the 80s and 90s when it comes to comedy, though.
Right. Oh yeah, I can go in there, but typically I like to listen to, I'll listen just Rawhide Clint Eastwood. I tape some episodes and then I'll just hit the DVR or the Rifleman with Chuck Connors. Because I know most of the characters, so I can sit there and just kind of, and sleep while I hear the. Bum, 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 bum. He has that's 13 gunshots when he enters on the Rifleman. I've counted them.
Really?
I counted. That's how boring I am. I counted how many times he shoots the rifle.
Oh, that's good.
What about Bonanza?
Bonanza's
Bonanza's another classic. Yeah.
The Great Lorne
Bonanza
Greene.
was pretty good.
Yeah, Hoss, Little Joe. All the
Little Joe.
Right, Pernell Roberts.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I know all my
Good,
stuff.
man.
You get almost any Western. I can almost probably tell you most of the actors in that kind of stuff.
And I've only watched maybe 5 or 10 Westerns, and I've never not liked it. I've always loved Westerns, but I just haven't watched that much. And to answer your question, I geek out more on, like you, opinions from different sides. So there's some podcasts besides, you mentioned Bill Maher, who used to do Politically Incorrect, and now he's got a different show also, which is really great because he is tough on the left, he is tough on the right, and he seeks the truth. And I do feel, we're about to get canceled if I say the word Joe Rogan, but I have tested positive for addiction to Joe Rogan. I watch 10 hours a week of that guy, or listen either way, like passively listen, but sometimes I actually watch it on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a podcast geek, and of course music history, music theory, that kind of stuff. And of course comedy and improv. I'm totally into that kind of stuff. Stand up and just in general live and not live improv.
Who's your favorite stand up that really just you cannot take your mind away from him? Or her.
I did. I'm gonna have to have two answers for you. Everybody says Richard Pryor. He was slightly before my time. I'm gonna probably say Jerry Seinfeld just for the affinity. And one of the places where I grew up was Upper West Side in New York City, where Jerry's show was supposedly filmed. It was really Los Angeles, but the exterior shots were there. But my real two answers, one of them I actually met when I did improv classes in San Francisco. The man who resurrected the comedy club is world famous Robin Williams, who's sadly not with us anymore. So he's in my Mount Rushmore.
Now that's a mind.
That is
guy,
a mind. Oh my goodness.
He could do Donald Duck, Daffy Duck, and Rafa Nadal all at the same time.
All at the same time.
They'd be carrying a conversation. Yeah, that guy.
But he wouldn't pass a drug test.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he's not going to pass a drug test.
He and Bob Marley got
And Jonathan, and what the guy before him was Jonathan Winters.
Winters. Yes.
Jonathan Winters was awesome.
Those two passed it forward.
And then if I were to go today, we mentioned Rogan, who I think of as an amazing interviewer, but he's a stand-up guy, but stand-up comic. But I'd have to say Dave Chappelle I enjoy now.
You don't like
Dangerfield.
I got no respect.
No respect for Dangerfield, Sam Kinison, all these amazing, too many to mention, but thank you, Lenny, for turning it around on us and asking us. We sometimes get to this on a Wednesday night, but that was kind of fun. Thank you, Lenny.
Yeah.
So breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Lenny? Breakfast, lunch, dinner. What do you like to eat? Better, the best.
Dinner.
Which leads me to our next question.
Oh, I like this.
This is we have what's called 4-person invitation, because we know AJ and I would be invited to your party, or what we call in Oklahoma soiree. I couldn't even say the word. Shindig, hoedown. We have like a little party that you're going to invite 4 people to, or maybe more, other than just AJ and I, because we know we invited to this party for dinner, right?
We got to go there,
right? So
so dinner for 6, dinner for 7, really. You and your wife, Craig and me, and four guests from any era. Fictitious, nonfiction, history, literature, whatever you want.
Intergalactic.
Jeez. Oh God.
This is one of those. This is one of those where we try to pull you out of your comfort zone in tennis.
One of the first ones that comes in my mind is Don Meredith.
Oh wow, Dandy Don.
Dallas Cowboys quarterback.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We've never had Dandy Don. He's never cracked the top 4.
No, but he was my brother-in-law, so we became really super close.
You guys actually look a little bit alike, don't you?
No.
Dandy Don. He was your brother-in-law? No kidding, really?
Yeah. It was 30 years, and
wow.
But he's one that you have mentors and people that really impacted you, and he was. So I'd really like to see him again.
Yeah. He was the great Banjo Hackett in a Western just recently. I was watching the Western channel.
Yeah.
Banjo Hackett, wasn't he? Yeah.
Wow. Nice going. Look at the brain on
Speaking of that,
Greg.
did you? I'll come back to me, but Clint Eastwood stuff.
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Yes. Which one?
His movies. Good Westerns. Oh, so who else?
Anyway, Don Meredith, that's a great guest.
Yeah.
Because he'd be funny.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having dinner with him.
Yeah. Who else? Anybody else? Besides, and maybe Billie Jean King. She might be there, too. That'd be a great guest.
Oh, they can be alive?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, live, dead, fictitious.
Oh, yeah. I think, I would have Billie Jean, but I'm thinking of people that I haven't had the experience of or honor of, other than Don, because he's not here.
Yeah.
I was thinking back to the African leader.
Nelson Mandela?
Yeah.
Yes,
that was
from South Africa, yes.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to just be around.
Desmond Tutu.
That's the one that was in jail
Bishop.
for a long time. And
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That hard to believe. How many more do I have to go?
That doesn't matter.
One or two more.
I like to say Tutu. Just Desmond Tutu.
Bishop Desmond Tutu
Yeah.
from
Tutu.
also
Tutu.
Anglican Church in South Africa. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Dandy Don, and then Nelson Mandela. Man, that's pretty. Now we're going places.
They could talk about football and rugby.
That's right.
And of course, life. Business, life, politics, anything.
Anybody else? I mean, it can be small or intimate. It doesn't have to be large.
Well, my wife.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yep.
But like the people that I'm closest to are my family, so I'm not putting them in there because I'm still thinking about
Well, you invite them.
signs that I would love to appreciate and be more around. We'll come back to it. For some reason, I'm not doing well with the
No, that's a good guess.
outside of stuff.
What would you be serving at this party, soiree, shindig? Are we serving some barbecue?
Oh,
from
definitely have Bush's baked beans.
Beans, the magical fruit.
No, have you ever heard of those? Have you heard of those Bush's baked beans?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Bush.
Yeah.
Bush's baked beans.
That's
No,
the talking dog on the commercial.
Right.
I think I'm I really don't care too much about what foods. I like everything. But I think filet mignon would be a nice dish. I often think about what would my last meal be all the time, and eat some lobster and I'd have a filet and I would some corn maybe.
Yeah.
But this I don't know. I think we could just sit around and have sandwiches and I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Some Baltimore crab, maybe some crab from Baltimore. I know you're a Baltimore guy.
Yeah, I never got into the crabs. It took too long. There wasn't enough there to all the work and just knocking things. I wanted to eat something, so I never got into it.
Substance.
So I got to ask you a question because I loved the Baltimore Orioles growing up in Lawton, Oklahoma. I was we lived on Baltimore Street. That's my only connection to the Orioles. And my brother loved the Yankees in the 60s. Did you ever go to any games there at Memorial Park? Did you ever catch a baseball?
Yeah, Memorial Stadium, 33rd Street.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, Brooks Robinson.
Yes.
Frank Robinson.
Yes.
All those guys, Jim Palmer.
Yeah.
Dave
I
McNally.
happen to know those guys a little bit.
Do you really?
Those three.
Yeah. They were
not like we're buddies or anything, but our paths crossed a few times.
They were my heroes. Boog Powell, Davey Johnson, Mark Belanger, Paul Blair, Andy Etchebarren. Oh, I love the Orioles. I named Mike Cuellar, Dave McNally. Pat Dobson, the 420 game winners. 420 game winners. You can't even win one 20 game winner now it's 4. I love baseball too.
Unbelievable.
So, baseball and westerns. They come together.
I know every one you just did now. So the coach was
Earl
who's
Weaver.
the manager?
Earl Weaver.
Weaver.
The chain smoking Earl Weaver.
He had some stuff in his cheek too. He smoked later on.
Yeah.
He smoked in the dugout. He smoked in the dugout, and then he'd come out and kick dirt on the umpires. That was famous. Earl Weaver.
He was the best.
Oh, I can't believe you got to see some games. I love the Orioles. I mean, they were my team back then. Oh, they were awesome, weren't they?
I remember going down 33rd Street. This is another in football. The Colts were there then.
Yep.
And there was a guy named 77, Jim Parker. He was an offensive tackle, all pro, and 6'7" and 500 pounds. But to me, he was like 12 feet tall and 1,000 pounds. And I got to run down into the stadium. In the stadium, I don't know how I got away from my parents. And I went down on the stadium on the sideline, and I stood next to. So maybe I'm 10 or something, but I don't have good memories. I remember standing next to this mountain and it had a number 77 on it. And I will never forget that feeling of how big these guys were.
Yeah.
And anyhow, it comes back to the 33rd Street and Memorial. The Orioles and the Colts both played in that stadium.
Oh, yeah. Johnny U. Did you see Johnny U?
Unitas, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Oh, geez. I couldn't throw a football. Now I'm pretty good. I finally figured out how to throw it. But in the warm up, these guys, they all run down the field full speed, and you go, I mean, how do they do that? It's so pretty. But everybody can do that now. But yeah, those I was very impressionable.
Oh no, man.
I love it.
You were there in the golden era of Baltimore sports with the Colts,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
when they left in the cloak of darkness, I bet you every fan in Baltimore just I can't call them the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
anymore.
when they went up to Indy, yeah.
Or even the Baltimore Ravens. I'm still it's the Baltimore Colts.
Yeah.
I mean that was
Right. Do you know what the moving van company was that took them? The Mayflower.
The yellow green.
Mayflower
Yeah.
took them out.
Right, yeah.
Middle of the night.
green.
Oh man, that
And,
was a sad day for Baltimore. Sports fans. When was that? Early 80s?
83, I think.
83.
Does that
something
sound
like
right? We'd have to get our research department on that one.
You'll have to do that. I remember when the Colts played the Cowboys in, was that Super Bowl 7, 6, 7? When I think the Colts won 16-13, something like that. It was the first Cowboy loss.
Like mid-70s.
Yeah. Earl Morrall, I think, was still on the team, and
Morrall, yes.
Mike Curtis was the linebacker. I remember those.
Yes.
I was like, because I like the Colts too. Yeah, well, just kind of random thoughts to kind of run through the brain there.
You remember Gino Marchetti?
Yes.
Oh,
sure.
Marchetti, yeah.
And you probably won't remember you know who the other defensive lineman was?
Oh boy,
Ordell Gracie.
I don't remember him.
He wouldn't have been known very well. Big Daddy Lipscomb.
Yes.
Remember him? Big Daddy Lipscomb.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Buddy Young who was like 5'6" and could run like a bullet. These guys are phenomenal.
Yeah. Baltimore. That was a great sports town and a great time to be in the Baltimore area growing up. So good memories there. Yeah.
By the way, our research department just contacted us. It was after the 83 NFL season in 1984, early 84.
And Robert Irsay, the most hated man in Baltimore.
Oh, they hated him. So sad.
Boy, that was a tough one, too. I mean, if you got to leave in the middle of the night when nobody can see you, I mean, that's...
Jeez.
Yeah,
See, I can't remember. I was only 12 then.
Yeah.
I was 13.
Hey, now. I was probably 14, so...
Yeah. All right, next up, mountains or beach? Are you a mountain guy or a beach guy?
Mountain.
Mountain guy, really?
And he's in Charleston, with a view of the beautiful ocean. Mountains.
Yeah.
Love it.
So mountains like summertime, mountains wintertime, just mountains in general?
General.
Just in general.
Yeah. I just, I feel good around that anytime.
So are you like an East Coast Appalachian kind of mountains, or like west like Colorado mountains? You like the Rockies, that kind of mountain? There's a little bit.
I don't know. I've never like hung out in that. I think I'm more like in the East Coast and thinking about lakes and just cool nights and Yeah,
nice area. They're
Beautiful,
Appalachians. Yeah. Up there by was it Hounds Ears? Have you ever been to Hounds Ears Country Club? Over there in Boone, North Carolina.
North Carolina, the western part of North Carolina,
Yeah, up there.
They get about a 1 month ski season up there.
Do they really?
Yeah, like right now.
One of our members, he has. I just remember Hound's Ears.
Hound's Ears.
He flies into Boone, and then they spend the summer up there, and they say it's really
beautiful.
Pretty country up there.
It's also great for driving if you like this kind of stuff.
In your Porsche.
Yeah, I love that part of the world. Yeah.
I can see AJ over there.
Driving quick.
Sunrise, sunset.
Wow. I can only have one, right?
Doesn't matter. Do you like both of them? Are you?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes night out.
Both best times of the days are the sunrise and sunset. If I only had to have one, I'd take the sunset.
Evening.
I like both. Yeah.
What do you like to do in your spare time, if you have any spare time, besides the Billie Jean King I Coach? And we know you spend a lot of time with that and helping kids out and that kind of thing.
I've been a pretty dull person outside of this. So my spare time is the first thing that comes to mind are my kids and grandkids. So that's the first step with my wife. Actually, I'd say my wife first. We have as you met her,
Yeah, sure.
Wonderful.
We have a great time, and our motto is whatever it is that can happen, let's do it while we can. And so we do a lot of laughing. But so my wife and then my daughter and her husband and our 3 grandkids are my first choice in golf. I've really gotten a good learning experience, brain training experience by taking up golf and realizing how difficult it is to master the mental component of ball striking in golf. And so that's been like really super fun. And, you know, golfers are such good trash talkers, right? And so I've become really, really good at trash talking. And so the guys that I play are half my age. And the fact that I'm trash talking them and, you know, probably beating them and they're beating me and, you know, all of that stuff. But I never had that in tennis. Like, you don't get camaraderie while you're playing, right? At least I didn't. Yeah. But do you guys play golf?
I do. I play a little bit.
You're decent at it. Yeah.
I'm okay.
I started a little and then I stopped, and I just never fell in love with it. But maybe one day.
I'm a good scramble player. I'm good for like 2 shots for 9. I'm good for 2 shots 9. Then after that, I'm in the woods most of the time.
I'm told I have a pretty swing, and if I played more, I'd be decent. But
I bet you're a good putter. You're probably a good putter.
I love touch. I love texture. I love texture. Yeah. I love approaches, putts. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's a neat game. But the trash talking element is interesting.
I can see that.
And it carries over during the week. Like, we don't see him, and it's like, so it's. I have probably created more friendships through golf.
Oh, wow! In
the periods of time that I've played golf than my entire career of tennis. Again, partly because I was taught not to be friends.
Yeah.
And then just that the sport itself, you're not. You know, I'm not around you guys as much as I could be. You know, So golf has been an eye opener for me to be able to be more social and have some fun with guys and girls and stuff.
I bet you there's ample opportunities out in Hilton Head, Charleston. There's probably how many golf courses are within a 20, 30 mile radius of where you're sitting?
You're right. It's Hilton Head, of course, and here. I mean, it's just there's a lot. And my son-in-law is a great golfer. That's really what got me into it, because I wanted him to want to be around me, and because he was playing golf quite a bit, and so I wanted to have a reason for us to do something together. And so I got started primarily for that reason, and then I got hooked on it from the brain stuff. So I forgot why I brought him up.
Yeah, very cool. Good to play golf. You guys are going to hang out together. Well, let's bring this back to the third segment of the third set. Right, we're going to start talking a little tennis again. Indoor tennis or outdoor tennis? What's your favorite? You're an indoor guy or an outdoor guy?
When I was playing, or if I were playing now?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, do you like to play indoors? Or do you like to play outdoors?
Outdoors.
Outdoors. On clay, like in South Carolina?
So I can't play now because I have a bad knee, so I haven't really played in 15 years. But if I were playing, I think, clay, archery. Yeah.
Did Baltimore have many clay court options, or did you grow up playing on hard court?
Clay courts.
Okay, did you
Hartrue, or whatever you call it?
Yeah,
Hartrue. The gray clay, very, very
the gray clay,
prevalent in the East Coast. Yeah.
What's your favorite tournament? It can be pro, amateur, could be the Charleston Open. Doesn't matter. Any tournament. What's your favorite one?
The Suburban Club 11 and Under Club Championship.
Wow. There we go. Tell us a little bit more about the Suburban Club.
Yeah, where is the Suburban Club?
That is just, it's not really, but it's in Baltimore, and I had, and that's where I realized I could grab some attention. You know, these kids were all had lessons, and I hadn't had any lessons, but the tournament was coming up, and it looked like not a big deal. And I got a racket and started hitting against the backboard, and I probably looked like a sword fighter. I don't even remember. Wait a minute. Oh yeah.
Oh, he's got a picture.
If you guys come visit,
I'm
in my office. If you come visit me, because of my experience with tennis, I never had a trophy, never kept a trophy, never had anything that had to relate to my past as a player. And I had some, obviously, like anybody who wins some tournaments.
Yeah, sure you did.
But because it was an embarrassment to me, you'll never come in and see anything, but you would see this one.
Let's see. It's a cup.
Is it the 11 and under championship at the Suburban Club?
Yes.
Champion
Very
with
nice.
a pewter cup. That is gorgeous.
Yeah. So, do you remember who you played in the finals?
I think I played Trippy, somebody who was like, had 3 rackets under his arm, you know, that kind where,
Yeah.
and looked good, but really was not comfortable under pressure. And I didn't know what the hell pressure was. I was just running around.
You're just
I was
rolling.
instinctively running after a ball and getting to it and hitting it. And so, yeah, his name was Trippy. And, yeah, I remember the court and everything. So my favorite tournament on some kind of basis, and I'd be curious what you guys would say yours are. I think my favorite tournament where I was the most in awe was Wimbledon.
Really?
Just being around that thing. And I played on the center court. I had a match scheduled on the center, not because of me, but because of who I was playing.
Did they,
And so
Who is the opponent? Tell us, Lenny.
yeah, tell us.
the opponent was it was doubles. It was Fred Stolle and Hayden Jones. Right?
Mixed up.
Because, you know, they're the number 1 seeds. And my partner was Christy Pigeon.
Yeah.
Remember her?
Yeah, American, yeah.
One of the elite, you know, Billie Jean's first, you know, those.
The original 9. She was one of the original 9.
Yeah. Did they play this
And
song?
so, but a cute story, they have like a little green room tunnel before you go out to the court. And we're there early, and we're there sitting, and I'm sitting on the bench. Christy and Fred Stolle and Hayden Jones are sitting across from us. And I'm trying to look calm, but I'm sure I didn't look calm. And the next thing I know, a ball hits me in the chest. And I, what the heck? And I look up, and Fred Stolle is laughing like crazy. and I give him the ball back, and I go like this. He throws the ball at me again. He was being so nice to me, right?
Oh.
I had practiced I was one of the practice guys in Australia for the Davis Cup team. You know, and they bring some kids along, you know, to play against them. And so I got to train with them for a week or so and then go out at night, and they would drink beer, and I didn't drink or do anything. I was like this perfect training guy. I'd sit over there I'm wandering, but I'd sit over here at the table, and they'd be over here. They'd say, "Hey, Lenny, come on over. And I said, "No, I'm okay. I'm all right." And I think maybe I was still in that, you know, not supposed to be friendly stage or something. That way, that's where I kind of knew Stolle knew me enough to try to help me get through the drama of walking out to center court, and you got to bow, and it was really quite. So I think that left a big impression in me of holy cow.
So did they play this song for you? That's the official Wimbledon NBC.
Breakfast at Wimbledon.
Breakfast at Wimbledon. Lenny Schloss and Christy Pigeon on center court
Against Hayden Jones and the fiery one, Fred Stolle. Oh, my.
Oh, my.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That song gets us.
I have to, before this thing ends, I have to ask you a question.
Anything.
How long does it take for my cheeks to start to unwind?
Because you've been laughing and
now
smiling.
I feel like I did a permanent smile, and I feel like I'm cramping.
4 days.
Yeah, it takes a few days.
4 days, yeah.
I like to start pushing down.
You are so sweet having fun with us.
Yeah.
Hey, I must ask you, I know we're about to wind down the third set, but who were the U.S. Davis Cuppers that you accompanied and hit with down in Oz? Was it Cliff Ritchie? Was it that era?
No, I was with the Australian guys.
Oh, you were with those guys.
Wow.
I see.
Yeah.
You were with Newcomb?
So it was Roach, Newcomb, Fred Stolle, who else?
Roach. Ruffles.
Ray Ruffles. Love that guy.
Let me think through these guys.
Yeah, big serve, Ray Ruffles.
Neil Frazier, who I think was the captain.
Uh-huh.
And Ruffles and maybe Alexander.
John Alexander. Okay, so this was 70-something?
Yeah. Jeez, this is really challenging my brain.
I wonder if Mark Edmondson was around. Was he in there? No.
No.
So not the U.S. Davis Cup team, the Australian Davis Cup team.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, I have this story in my mind, though, that I think is true. You know, the older you get, the better you become as a player, right? So for soon, I'll probably have won Wimbledon.
Oh, tell us the story.
But, I played, remember Tom Gorman?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
From Seattle, Washington,
Yeah. As the story gets in my mind, and remember, I'm pretty sure, but if people are listening, it's just fun to listen to, but don't take me seriously. I've told this to my wife this one, but he and I supposedly were on this quote list to be selected for the United States Davis Cup team, and whether this is in my mind or not, now that's what I mean. If the older you get, the better it sounds.
Yeah.
So we competed, and it was kind of like whoever won probably was going to get this move, but he was better than me. But I was up and coming, so to speak, right? I was ranked 16th or 17th, and he was better. So I'm up match point, hot as hell, in Adelaide, I think. If Tom's listening, maybe he can straighten it out. And I remember something, and it's tied to the eye. AJ, you were catching on to something before.
Oh, good.
And I served on grass, came in, he had a good return of my feet. I made probably as good a half volley cross court to the forehand side. He runs across. There's no way, I've won this match. I watch him run. He dives, gets under the ball. I watch him dive, watch him get under the ball. I'm standing at the net. The ball goes right by me, lands in the court.
Oh.
We go on up till 9-7, I think, in the fifth, in which he wins. And we both cramped. We both came to the locker room, and it was really and he went on to be on the Davis Cup team.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's really true or not, it's a good story.
I love it.
Right. That's amazing.
Lenny,
But what the moral of that story is when kids are saying, what should I be thinking? What should I have been thinking is wherever the ball goes, I'm going to get it.
I'm going to get it.
Yeah. But my attention was pulled away. And so if I don't have a signal, there's no reason to move. Right.
Right.
So when we finish this thing down, finish it off, that ball was maybe going 20 miles an hour past me, so it wasn't going too fast.
You could have gotten
I just didn't have. I was blind.
You were blind.
That blind spot. So I don't know how that segued into it.
Well, no, and not only
great.
Not only did Gorman go on to play on the Davis Cup team, he went on to captain the Davis Cup team.
Yeah, and a great guy. I mean, just another one of those good people. Stan Smith, Tom Gorman. Those are, Nadal, Federer. I mean, there's some really spectacular humans that came through this sport.
I think I heard Tom Gorman say that was a defining moment in his life. Lenny Schloss and down
when
under
he
in
saved
Adelaide.
match point
Against
Lenny.
And he dove on the grass in Adelaide. Yeah. Do you like to watch tennis on TV, Lenny? Are you a fan? No? You've seen enough matches that...
No, I don't. I watch Nadal. I watch Medvedev a little bit. Federer's the only one I watch. And then it goes back to I cannot stand to see head shifting. So I'm watching athletes that could be tremendous athletes. You can say, well, Federer's probably one of the best athletes. Actually, there's bigger, faster, and stronger athletes, but he's a better ball striker.
Yeah.
So I can't stand watching mishits. So just a personal.
So much passion running so deep about.
I know we're finding some great things.
This is
gold, Jerry.
Gold, Jerry.
It's gold.
This is gold.
That's a Seinfeld reference.
Yeah.
That's Kenny Bania. Great. You didn't say he was one of your favorite comedians, Kenny Bania.
I did put Jerry on the list, but not Bania.
Bania always stole Jerry's
material.
That's right. So let me back up. I usually ask this question kind of first part of the third set in the tennis. What's your first racket? You were talking about tennis winning the 11 under. Did you play with? I'm interested.
Cool question.
Yeah, and do you have your racket still? That racket that you started?
Oh
playing?
Man, the only thing I have, and I did it like a few years ago, is I found some old rackets that people had given me, because like I said, I didn't keep anything in here that was tennis. Now I feel good about myself as a person. So,
sure.
But I've got some old rackets. I have these like 7 or 8 old rackets that are really cool, but they're back here.
Yeah.
But my first racket was, it's called a Silver Streak.
Is that a Slazenger?
Purple. It was like maroonish with a white streak in it.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't, it was really cool looking. I don't think that was my first racket. I think I got to that one later. I think it was, but as a player, it was Wilson, Jack Kramer, and then the Dunlop Max Fly.
I love it. I had them both. I love those. Yeah. And we'll have to look up Silver Streak. Was that a Spalding, a Slazenger, or was it a Richard Pryor movie?
With Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, yeah.
I knew where you were going. I was, we're products of that era, right? The Silver Streak right there. So, Lenny, did you have any superstitions or rituals, when you were playing tennis? Did you not step on the lines like Rafa? Did you have to, put your bottles in a certain area, in certain ways?
Well, fitness was like huge. I had to do these workouts and double knee jumps, 500 a night, So fitness wise, I was like paranoid that if I didn't do all that, there's something bad would happen. So that was part of it. I think.
Wow, 500 a night.
I think the biggest thing that I had as a ritual was getting myself in a state of mind that I was unfortunately in a semi-state of had to get myself mad. But if you know anything about anything, you understand I'm covering up fear. So I put the anger in there as my ritual. Okay, I'm gonna whatever it is, and so I played to a certain level that got me to a certain level. But obviously, that's not what takes you. Your instincts don't really play through that situation as well. So that was my ritual. Yeah. So if I can get myself into enough anger in my mind, and I could go play.
Right. Got worked up into a lather.
Yeah. Really mentally healthy kid.
I know you said you had kids. Did they play recreationally or competitively? Did you want them? Play?
My daughter. My daughter. I only have one daughter, and great. Just she's one of my idols. Her husband is the other one of my idols, and I've learned more from them than by far.
Wow!
And even the way they treat themselves as a marriage for Jane and I, it's like. They're just such a mutual respect. So, what's your question again? I got to thinking about my family.
That's all right. Now, kids.
Did your daughter play? My daughter
play tennis.
She wanted to. She made the mistake of saying, "Dad," and I say mistake. I want to be as good as I can in tennis, and I made this mistake of saying, "Okay." Now, by this time. I met with Arthur. He said, here's what we're going to do. You're going to get yourself a club. I said, I don't want to get a club. And he said, you got to start proving this stuff. And so we really did. We won the USTA National Facility of the Year Award. I'm going to digress and get back to my daughter.
Great. Yeah, no.
Congrats.
And our facility was 30 years old because I couldn't afford to really buy anything. We got this one out of bankruptcy. And we just kept building it. And it was doing $100,000 of instruction and nothing. And then we ended up doing like 1.2 million.
Oh my goodness.
And it was really phenomenal, a business model that I didn't know I had, but it was based on this system of teaching kids stuff. Right. So my daughter says, I want to learn. So I said, okay, I'll teach you, but it's not easy. Okay. So within 2 weeks, she quit. That's how good I was.
2 weeks. What a great coach, Dad.
Wow.
So because it was, you don't walk to a ball. I mean, it was all the old stuff that yes and no, right? You got to do certain things certain ways, but it was like, man, this is I became another person. I became that thing. This is like a confession.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah.
So how much do you guys charge?
Father Craig, free.
Father Guido Sarducci. He's Father Guido Sarducci. He really doesn't have the hat on, but that's actually him. Yeah.
So anyway, so she ended up becoming a state champion in her high school. Played for her high school team, and she's to this day when we go to hit balls, she won't let a ball bounce twice. This day, she's 45 years old, right?
She runs for every ball.
She'll run for every ball.
Love it.
That's terrible.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's because that's interesting. Because some of the pros want their kids to play tennis, and some of them like, nah, I don't want even knowing anything about tennis. So that's
I'm not an advocate of that's now. Yeah, if I circle all the way back to it, but did I ever tell you what the numbers were on the study?
Tell us.
Yeah,
no,
tell us.
you know
how many?
Yeah.
Okay, so recreation players, average ball hit on balance, last 3 feet, 90% are off balance.
Oh, so only 10% are
10%.
balanced and sweet spot.
On balance. Whoa. On balance. Like a golf, when you swing, none of that. 90% recreational players miss hitting. Now they can get it over the net, but if you swing too hard, then it'll miss hit. But off center. And pros, do you know what that number is?
Oh, the ball.
What percentage do you think hits are sweet spot hits?
I mean,
exactly where they want it. Boom.
I think a common answer would be 90% good, 10% bad.
15.
But I bet it's more like 80% is off balance is what I'm going to go with.
Well, let's talk sweet spot. Yes, off balance go the same, but the balls that land like in a golfer, bam, it's
right in the
where you get the maximum power, maximum stroke. Everything is dependent. Would you agree that where the ball lands is important?
Sure.
Where the ball lands is important, but where it hits on your strings, is more important. If you miss hit here, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
I would.
I'd go with it.
Yeah. Okay. So what number do you say for the pros?
I'm going to say 15. I'm going to go low.
I think you're going to go low.
Are you going to go high?
You're saying 15% of them
only hit the sweet spot.
in the sweet spot.
Right.
I'm just going to go middle of the road and say 50.
50 wins.
Oh, my gosh. Look at that. See, I'm not a very good coach.
It's 50.
So what is it? So reverse that. All the effort, all the training, all the fitness, all the nutrition, all of the dieting, and yet 50% of the time they're not achieving their full potential.
They're hitting off center somewhere.
50% of the time you're not achieving your full potential. That's what that boils down to, unless I'm managing words incorrectly. So when they start looking at, I want that edge. I want to train harder. I want to do a stretch. I want to do this. What they really need to go to is a sweet spot ball striking expert and take that 50% up to 60. And you take that 10%, and now my errors have just been cut down 10%.
Yeah.
And we know the stat in tennis is about 10% difference between winning and losing, right?
Absolutely. Maybe less.
What do you think is going to happen in the future when we all become excellent ball strikers? We all have a Federer type head or a Nadal head. And now the sweet spot becomes the determinant of how far I can go. And so my future belief will be is that whatever is the number one thing that you guys need to do every day in your life, do that every day and do the best you can at it. If it's in your marriage, if it's in your tennis club, if it's training your pros, whatever is the number one thing, make sure you do that every single day. And all the other things that are 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 will work themselves out.
Yeah.
The person who put that philosophy out wrote a book called The One Thing. He's the richest real estate developer now in the world. And he met with his board and he said to them, what's on your list today? He said, well, I got 17 things here, mister. I got his book. And I got 6. He says, this is what we're doing. Throw them all away.
Yeah.
I want you to write down the one thing that you need to do every day in my business that will make you successful. And make sure you spend the time doing that every day And whatever 2, 3, and 4 is, if you don't get to them, fine. Just do number 1. And so the book is now all over the country in universities, all about multitasking and trying to do too much. And he did a tremendous study. What does that have to do with what we're talking about today? What is the one thing that will help your students learn everything else you want easier and faster than anything else?
It's the last yard, and it's striking well.
Yep.
Where the ball lands, the sweet spot. If you increase that, everything else becomes easier, right? But if it stays the same, if all I can get is the 50%, so every day, if we teach the kid what's the one thing that's going to make everything else better for you, and we call it sweet spot training. Wow, now I'm focusing, I'm learning, I'm feeling good. Your brain learns faster, it's quiet, it absorbs faster. And when you strike, you're actually getting the signal is coming in, you're pulling out all the instruction, all the tactics, everything is coming there. But if I don't hit the sweet spot, everything that I've been training for is impacted in a negative way to some level. So what's the one thing we want to do? And we end this podcast would be if everybody would make sure, no matter what, your student keeps their head up completely still, day 1 of tomorrow's lesson, and watch what happens. They will start to love this game. They will love the lesson. They will love you, and they will love themselves, because that is the number one thing. And if we put our attention up to that, yes, I'm on a platform again, so you have to knock me off. But that's what I really will hope happens. It has nothing to do with me. It's nothing to do with Billie Jean, but it has everything to do with the future of what we're going to try to do to help kids focus. So keep their heads still. They'll figure it out.
And when you said kids, this includes 40-year-old women. This includes everybody we coach.
Even Novak Djokovic, right? Novak, wouldn't you like to keep your head more still?
Craig, I appreciate your asking me this on the court and off the court. I can always use more focus in my life, and I want to thank Lenny so much. I salute you, and I salute all 4 corners of his house.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I can't believe it. Novak,
Hey,
where have you been? My favorite person. Oh my God! I can't believe it.
Well, I was going to ask, we're rounding the corner here, and I was going to ask Lenny, if he wouldn't have been involved in sports, what would he be doing now? I think I know. I think
he would have been
Donald
Mel
Duck.
Blanc's understudy and taken over with Frizz Frelling,
Right.
all those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been my backup.
Awesome.
No, seriously.
So good.
What would you be doing if you weren't involved in sports like you have been all your life, probably, most of your life? What would you be doing, do you think? We're getting him to think. We're really
Deep,
I know.
CB.
Yeah.
You're doing, you're digging.
I think what I like to think I would have been doing would be in some form of what I'm doing today, which is there's something bigger than me, and there's something while I'm here that could make a difference. And I'm hoping I'd be finding that something.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty passionate about that kind of those things. I'm more passionate about feelings than I am about anything else and what people are feeling and not what doing. I get my feelings hurt a little bit too much. But at the end of the day, I think if I could help I think I'd probably be doing real close to what I'm doing now. This project I hope if I come back as another life, I hope I never do this again.
Oh,
but,
wow.
I would, really, it's too tough. It's really tough. I mean, I for Billie Jean to made it through the curves that she's had to navigate through. I don't know, I'm not saying I don't know if it's worth the sacrifices that I had to go through to be able to come to get to this point. I really don't know that. But I do know that that's what I would like to do, though. I think I need to be more mature about it. And I was very immature and along the way in some of the drive that I had. So I'd like to be more mature and be in a position to be a school teacher. I could be something where I feel like I'm really reaching people and they're getting something better.
Lenny, I'm going to lovingly and respectfully disagree. I feel like this is in your DNA and you're made for this huge project that you're about to embark on. So I'm just nothing but love and encouragement. You're on something really, really big, and it's going to benefit several million people. So thank you and well
done. Not just from the great game standpoint, from a health and physical fitness.
Health, physical, mental.
Yeah, you're going to change a lot of people in what you're doing. So I
hope we all do this. I hope we all don't go at you. It's not a Billie Jean or it's not fit. I hope we all catch on to this. It's science. It's not, hey, I'm a jock, period. I'm not the founder of anything. I'm a founder of the founders. So let's keep my name pretty much. You won't ever see much of it, but I sure would like people to this is the first time I'm literally publicly coming out like this, because you haven't seen me talk very much about anything in the last 10 years. But are we ending? Or are we still continuing?
Yeah, one question.
Oh, one more.
We always have the last question, and this is we've always liked to end with this question because it really reveals a lot about, I think, the great game. And if you think you're the commissioner of the great game of tennis, and it's been entrusted upon you, Lenny Schloss, to be the keeper of the game, would you make any changes, or do you like it the way it is? It could be amateur tennis, professional tennis, scoring. It doesn't. College tennis, whatever it is there anything that you would like to see, maybe a little differently, or maybe you like it the way it is?
No, I don't.
What are some other thoughts on the game?
I think I know what I want to say. I just don't want to say it rudely.
No, you won't. I'm sure you'll be fine.
I worry about my team, and I want to, if something comes around like this, I don't want us to be trying to overcome what Lenny's saying. I think the main thing is that don't ever stop learning how to teach. Don't ever stop learning how to teach. And now that we've exposed something, don't ever stop learning, try to figure out what we just threw out there. And I took 10 years to try to prove it all wrong, and I couldn't. So don't ever stop learning. Are we happy with what we're doing as teachers? Don't ever get happy with what you're doing as a teacher. If you can make it simpler and better and faster, or you can find somebody, if you can listen to this and say, I want to learn, is there a faster way? Or are you just happy doing it the way you want? Don't be happy doing something that could be faster and quicker. It doesn't take 10 lessons to hit a forehand cross court. It doesn't take 6 weeks to be able to have a kid hit a ball. There are faster ways to do it. Just keep challenging that, and we'll all be better. Whether it's what I'm doing or not, just keep challenging and learn more about the brain. That would be my wish.
What a powerful end to a really fun conversation. Lenny, you're the best. What a wonderful guest you've been.
Well, let me pass something back to you, because we did this before we got on. So I do want to pass this back. I think you two and are like Simon and Garfunkel, or somebody, like you're just the blend of perfection I watched, JJ, how you listened to what I said. And I said I've rambled, and you picked out key points. And Craig, you came right back in and pinpointed. If anybody wants to sit in on this and feel like they're important, you make me feel like I'm a hero in something. And that's what Billie Jean does every single day that whoever she's in front of. They're the most important person in the world when she's with them. It could be the ball girl walking them out. And I've never forgotten that focus. You guys have the same thing. I've watched you do it. I didn't come on here blind. I know what your podcasts are. Dave Brain. Yep. What I ask you to do is get these guys out there, get them viral, get them to be able to help. You'll make the world a better place. I really do believe that.
You're too kind.
You're so kind, Lenny. Yeah. Thank you. We feel the same about
100%.
you.
Yeah, no, we've enjoyed this time. We spent 2 hours. We know we
went a little over, but that's okay. We loved it.
Well, I hope Lenny didn't mind.
Lenny, you get Jane to massage the cheeks tonight and go to bed.
You know what the longest tennis match in history was?
Was that?
It didn't go 5 sets. I'm just going to give you a clue. The longest 3 sets.
Longest three-setter ever.
Ooh.
Ever.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this 5-set thing, and so I was training for it.
Yeah. What was the longest three-setter? Yeah, tell us.
It was 7.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
It was 3 sets, and we've only done 3 sets in 2 hours, so this is nothing.
This is nothing.
Right.
First set was 6-3. The second set was 49-47.
Oh.
And the third set closed out at 23-21. 7.5 hours. The next year, the tiebreaker finally got passed. The next year, Jimmy Van Allen had a tournament the week after Wimbledon, and everybody who lost early gets to come over and played in his Van Allen scoring system tournament prior to his tournament.
I remember the VASS. This is in Newport, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you do that, and then you get in, then you play the tournament. And my partner and I, we played on center court. We were a good right team opening up. The big players hadn't come in yet. We weren't that good, but just we started it. And so you are hanging up on a 3-set match that we just did in 2 hours. I did in 7.5 hours.
7.5 hours. Lenny, that was you.
That was you.
Yeah, I was in it. Yeah. And however, the key to this, I lost the longest match, by the way, was it was over 2 days. So it was, we ruined that tournament is what I'm telling you. And he had been pushed in the USTA. We're never going to get on TV. I mean, you have endless matches. How are we going to ever get this sport to become a vibrant sport that people are going to watch? We got to have an ending to it, right? And the next year, Van Allen, that was Dickie Dell, Dick Leach, myself, and Tommy Mosier. And Tommy Mosier and I were at University of Tennessee, and he was a 2-time All-American. He was tremendous. He was far better than I was. So that's how that ended. So that's where history was, and I hope that Billie Jean takes this thing and we can do another history thing. But that's our 2 out of 3 set match. I was waiting for the plug. I just wanted to just
well done.
I haven't done that very much, but I am bragging a little bit.
No.
Well, shout out to Jamie Van Allen, James Van Allen, and Lenny Schloss. Thank you so much. What an
okay, guys.
guest.
Yeah, no,
Keep being yourselves.
Yeah, no,
Thanks.
We appreciate your time.
Keep in touch, buddy.
Yeah, we'll be talking.
I've had a blast. I just got to get my cheeks rubbed.
Yeah, be sure to get you a cup of coffee and watch some Bob Marley. And
there we go.
Listen to some Bob Marley in the morning. Yeah,
I'm going to do some Clint Eastwood right now.
Oh,
Love
there we
it.
go.
Love it.
See you guys.
Good, bad, and the ugly. All right, see you later.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
What a fantastic guest and a great interview, buddy.
Really?
Well done.
No, we did a good job.
Yeah, it was fun.
You asked him a lot of great questions.
We had a good time with him.
We stumped him a few times, though, in the third set. I got it.
He couldn't remember the first racket. That was one of those.
Yeah.
And, part of it was the bearing of his soul about the anger and the, no friends, and that's an enemy on the other side.
Me against everybody.
All that stuff. And then it contributed to some cathartic experience tonight.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. That was great.
It was a lot of fun. So, thank you, Lenny, once again for being our guest. We were looking forward to it a couple of months ago, and he didn't disappoint.
He did not. He did not.
Well, let's play a little outgoing music right here with the great James Scott Campbell.
Love this song, man.
Yeah. We got to get him on.
We will.
Jimmy, we got to. We always keep talking about it. But anyway, thanks for listening to Season 1, Episode 109 of At the Net Podcast. Join us next week. We got the Marshman, Marsh Riggs.
Wow.
Not Jason Marshall, but Marsh Riggs.
This is our second Marshman.
That's right.
Marsh is funny. He emailed us some good quality satire.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's strong.
He's gold. He's gold, Jerry.
Baby.
Also join us on Wednesday nights because we do a little thing called tennis shorts, right?
We get to find out what's in Craig Bell's tennis shorts.
At 8 o'clock on Wednesday nights. That's right, on Instagram, right?
Instagram, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. Join us.
Lastly, be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and other social media outlets. Plus, tell a friend of friends because we like to have net heads, and maybe we might give them a hat, right? Yeah.
We want your net. Yeah, we want to get you some swag.
That's right.
Bags, hats, whatever.
Whatever.
T-shirts.
We got it. We got it all right there. So, thanks, everybody, from Dallas, Texas to